Meant to be. It's how all of our favorite movies and books and songs talk about love, as if there's this secret to an amazing relationship that has this, a tiny bit of destiny, a little bit of feelings and magic all mashed together. Because let's face it, if it's love at first sight, then it has to be meant to be. And so sometimes it makes sense that when a student starts to observe the not so perfect real life relationships around them, maybe with their friends or with you as a parent or their favorite celebrities in TVs and movies, and especially on social media, they start to wonder, wait a minute, is this really, really meant to be? And is this how relationships are supposed to be? The sad reality is that some students fall into this trap of believing that what they see online and in the movies and TV, that's how it's supposed to be. The tough part about it is that Hollywood and social media seem to be the only ones speaking these messages to students, especially when it comes to relationships and dating and sex. And here's the thing, 9 out of 10 times, they're always wrong. That's why we're kicking off a brand new series called Meant to Be. We're going to spend the next 4 weeks on this idea of relationships and dating and sex. And we want to give students maybe a better lens to evaluate their current and future dating relationships. And we say future because we know many of our students aren't dating yet. And if they're a middle schooler, I would hope not. But parents, the time is coming, and it's coming fast. And I know for some of you that have 6th and 7th graders, your heart may crumble just thinking about talking to your kid about dating and relationships and sex. And we don't want to force your hand, especially on this subject. But unless you're keeping them hidden under a rock, or they have no access to technology or TV or movies, or they don't socialize with any other students, or you just lock them in a closet for 23 hours a day, the odds are these conversations are taking place somewhere around them. And our goal is that you're having these conversations, and that we as a church can come along beside you to reinforce what God's Word says about relationships and dating and sex. So just to ease your fears, this is not a sex talk. It's not a sex ed course. In fact, we're only talking about sex on 1 week. But our goal is to help your students maybe evaluate their relationships and possible future relationships when it comes to dating, and understand something, that the secret to good relationships, one that's meant to be, is for them to first stay close to Jesus, because a relationship close to Jesus makes relationships better. And secondly, we want them to help them understand that the dating years, when they hit, that they need to understand that dating is more than just something we do for fun, but that it needs a purpose behind it. And then we want them to understand that who they're looking for in a personal relationship needs to be compared to who that person is with God's Word. And then finally, when we talk about the subject of sex, we want them to keep it in the right context. In other words, to choose God's design for sex instead of what the world tells them. And as a student ministry, we want to be fully transparent with you guys. And we always say, as a parent, you can always look and discuss with us about what we're teaching your students, and you can have access to the lessons that we teach your students at any time. And in this series, we definitely want to do that to alleviate maybe any fears you might have or questions you might have. We want you to know we've provided all the lessons in this series online on our parent resource page. You can just go to chetstudents.com/parents, go to the series, click on the lesson, and you'll see an overview of the series plus all 4 discussion guides and Bible studies. And as always, you're the number one parent and the number one discipler of your students. So if you feel it's necessary to pull your student out a week during one of the weeks of this series because you want to be the one to have that first initial conversation about the subject we're talking about, please do so. Exercise that right. But just make sure they know why you're pulling them out, so they understand why they're not attending life group. We fully understand that some of our 6th and 7th graders haven't even had the sex talk yet with you. As one who's worked with students for the last 25 years, man, I just want to encourage you to begin that process and begin it sooner now rather than later. Because here's the thing, others are vying for your kids' attention when it comes to this subject. And if you have no idea how to do it, we've got a great resource for you. On our parent resource page, you can download it. It's called The Parent's Guide to the Sex Talk. And it's a great thing to use to help prepare you for this much needed conversation, to help you engage with your students and talking about this subject. Because we're finding out that today's students are engaging in earlier and earlier in dating type relationships, and they're having more and more conversations with younger and younger minds. And as a student ministry, we want to be on the front end of this. We want to be on the front end of the conversation, not trying to help pick up the pieces from a broken relationship because of unwise choices. So please know that our phones are always open, that our emails are open. If you ever have any questions about this series, we want you to know we're praying for you and that it will spark some interesting growth conversations. Thank you so much for letting us partner with your kids in a subject like this. We're praying that you guys have a great week, and this is a great month for you to have good conversations with your kids.